Okay, so tonight let's just make a basic hanger. Tonight we'll just make it out of um, one pre-made cube or box structure. We will craft all the other parts based off that one initial structure by copying and pasting different parts, and then we'll go from there. We won't put a texture on it tonight. We'll just make a quick hanger tonight, and then we'll come back in the following lesson, the lesson that precedes this one or comes after this one. We'll go ahead and put textures on it. And then I think you'll see once we get some textures on it, I think you'll see that the art of texturing something well is as difficult, if not more difficult, than the actual art of making it, in three-dimensional space. So we'll take a look at that during the next lesson. For this lesson, again, we're just gonna keep everything real simple, real basic tonight, and we'll just make a hanger kind of from memory and off the top of our head. We won't base it on anything, and we'll just get going here. So the easiest way to start with the hanger is just start with a pre-made box structure. I'll go ahead and select a new box, and I'm in meters tonight, so I will put this in meters. So let's make it nice and even. Let's make it 80 meters wide, and a height of 20 is fine. Actually, let's do 15, and a depth of about 30. And we'll just see how that looks. I'll make the origin at the bottom so that the whole structure sits up above the Z-plane, or the ground plane in game. Go ahead and hit OK. Center this guy up here, and let's take a look at it in a preview window. And that looks like a pretty good shape for a hanger to start with. So a little bit wide maybe, but we can easily fix that. It's a little too wide for my tastes. So to fix the width, I'll just come in here to the scale mode, and I will scale it in the X direction only, because I do not want it to scale in the Y or the Z direction. I'll go ahead and click Y and Z to constrain those two movements. I'll just scale it in a little bit so that it looks a little more natural as far as the hanger goes. And that looks pretty good there. Alright, with that all done, I'll go ahead and go part and center axis to part so that we're designing on our center, and that looks pretty good. So easiest part to make next is going to be the roof structure, and to do that, the easiest thing you can do is just go ahead and go copy, paste, and notice down here it says box.1 down here in the bottom right. So we know this is our copied piece, and at this time I'll go ahead and just use the move function, and I'm going to move it up in the y-axis. I'll go ahead and constrain it in the x-axis so that it cannot move side to side, and I'll constrain it in the z-axis so that it cannot move front to back. So the only direction it can move is up now, and that'll help me make sure that I get it exactly on top of the other piece. And then I want to make sure I don't have a gap between the two pieces. So as I zoom in here and I center this up each time, you can see how much of a gap exists. So I'm going to come in and zoom this in as far as I can zoom it in, and then when I have it all the way in, I'll go ahead and bring this new part and set it right exactly down on top of the other part. And that's going to keep me from having any gaps in my two pieces, which if you do have any gaps, they'll show up over here on your part. And they don't necessarily always show in the design window, but they will have a tendency to show up in game if you're not careful with that. So to make the actual roof structure, I'm going to go ahead and we'll center up on that part here. And the easiest way to make the roof is just go to point mode, use your selection tool, and we're just going to select these top set of points here. So I can either select them over here, or I can come back and I can select them over here. So just so long as I have the top 4 points selected. And then again, I'm going to use my scale feature, which we talked about earlier. Between scale and move, those are your two most useful functions, and especially when you're working in point mode. Again, I'm just going to scale it in the X direction only. I just want to squish the two sides in together to make a kind of a peaked roof. So again, we'll constrain Y and Z, and then I'll just start scaling these guys in towards each other. Once I have them in as far as I think they're going to go, I can go part and snap to scale. It should eliminate 2 points. There we go, 2 points eliminated. But the other thing it did is, I don't know if you can see this, but it actually shrank for whatever reason. It shrank the whole piece, and I can actually see that it doesn't fit perfectly on top. So we can fix that here in a second, but just be careful when you do that. If it does do that, you probably can't see it in the video, but I can see now there's a gap over here on the left and right sides. So we'll fix that in a second. All right, now that I've got my roof, it's nice and peaked. I'll go ahead and I've still got that set of points selected here. Now I'm just going to move them down a little bit so they look a little bit more realistic. And there we've kind of created a a basic hanger structure. I'll go ahead and center this part up, or center the axis up, and we'll center the whole project up, and we'll just take a look at it real quick. So there is my basic hangar structure. We've got all the polygons still attached to it, and we can get rid of those here in a second. But there's a front, back, side, and the roof structure all done pretty easily from just 2 parts in about 5 minutes. So I know you probably can't see it in the video, but I can very clearly see a gap over here on the sides between this part and this set of points over here and the one below it. And again, I talked about gaps. If you don't get these exactly right, they will show up in game. So again, I'm gonna just use my selection tool and select these 2 side points over here, which is this set over here. And I'll keep my move tool, and this time I want to move them in the X direction, so I will free the X direction and I will just constrain Y and Z. And then I will center this up and go in as far as I can go. And hopefully when I zoom in here you can actually see there's just a hairline of a gap in there, so I'll fix that. On that side we'll repeat the same exact process on this side. So again, right click to bring up this extra menu here, click on the center, and then you can use your I key for in or your other keys. Let's see, now I've got that, I'll just move that back, and there. So I fixed that little gap. That's all I've done. And again, it's important to fix the gaps, or otherwise you're not gonna be happy with your design work. Okay, so there's our basic hangar. Let's go ahead and put the 2 little, I like to call them hangar ears or whatever, over here, but it's basically going to be the set of the structures out here on the side that'll hold the hangar doors when we go to put those on. So easiest way again is just go back into part mode, scroll back to my original part. Okay, make a copy of it, paste the new copy, and then from that new copy I'm just going to move 1 set of points, again only in the X direction, and move it over here to just what I think is a reasonable width. And then we'll come back here and we'll select the back set of points, we'll let it move in the Y direction only, and I'll bring it up here and give it some depth. Now that I have that whole thing done, I'll come up here and go back into part mode. We'll center the axis to the part, and then I'll just move the whole thing. Let me free up the X here. We'll move the whole thing out here to the side, and we'll flip that around so you can see it. So it looks like the little thing that holds the hangar doors. And again, it's a little bit off, so I'll come back in here. I'll center it up. I'll track back up in here and see just how close I got it. Looks like I actually got it pretty close there. Yeah, got it right on, which doesn't happen very often. So we'll just bring it up just a little bit, and we'll just kind of eyeball it and see how it looks. And that looks pretty good. I might make it just a little bit wider here in the X direction for just this 1 set of points. Yeah, that's pretty good. We'll center that up. Alright, and we want to put one on the opposite side. So remember from one of the previous lessons, the easiest way to do that, to put an exact same piece on the opposite side in the exact same position symmetrically on the opposite side, is just go copy, go paste, and then come in here to F2, hit your F2 key, and notice this is my axis location is minus 35.85. I'll just go ahead and get rid of that negative symbol, hit OK. We'll center up the whole project again, and you can see that it's now put the exact same structure on the opposite side. Okay, so we have our little hangar door holders. So it's starting to look like a hangar. So now that we have our basic hangar, you could texture the sides and the back and the top. And one thing I want to say about this is, if when you go to texture this, it's best to maybe leave the roof and this main body unjoined, leave them as separate pieces. That way you can texture them separately. And you'll see when we get into texturing this in the next lesson that there are certain times when you're going to want to split parts up into multiple parts, or you're going to want to leave parts unjoined, or you're going to want to join parts. So it's just a matter of what you want to do and how you want to texture your object. So at this point, let's go ahead and put a set of hangar doors on the front of this so that it looks like a structure here. And we said it was we made it 80 meters wide, and so each half should be 40 meters in length. And then if I do 2 20-meter doors, that's probably more than enough to give it some detail. So to do that, again, you can copy your original part here if you want, which we're on right now, or you can go ahead and just bring up a new part, which might be easier to do in this case. So I'll bring up a new box. I'll make the width 20, The height can stay at 15, which was the original height, and then the depth, let's just make a ½ meter deep, and that doesn't look like it's going to be deep enough for me. We'll get in there and fix that, no problem. Alright, so I want to move it up here. It's right in the center right now. Let me center the axis to the part, and let me just move it. And by the way, I don't know if you saw what I did there. If I have, like, let's say X and Z constrained, and I just want to fix that real quickly without going over here and unclicking X and Z, okay, you can just double click once, and notice as soon as you get out of the move mode, it frees all those constrainments up, and then click it in again. So that's just a little shortcut for you. So let's just make sure it doesn't move in the Y, and I'll bring it up here, and then we'll center it up, and let's see how big it is. It's just a little too skinny, I think, so I'll go back into my scale mode, and we don't want it to scale in the X direction or the Y direction, only in the Z, so I'll just make it a little bit thicker. That looks pretty good right there. Okay, so I'll get it so it's essentially centered up here. I'll zoom up on this guy, go in as far as I can see, not let it move in the Z, cross that guy up, come out here a little bit, and let's see, since it's the outermost door, it's going to stick out a little bit, so let's move it forwards a little bit, and let's see how that looks. That looks pretty good. Alright, so I've got one hangar door made, easy enough, right? There it is. And then to do that, it looks like I didn't do my math correctly, did I? Let me see how this looks here. No, it's going to be too wide, isn't it? So let me measure my distance here, and I can do that by going into expand view, come in here. Let me just see exactly how wide my doors should be. That distance, alright, so 30, oh, so I'm in feet, sorry, I'm in feet. Oh well, so 30 feet, so we should make it about 15. It's, you know, it's close enough. So let me delete that guy, come back in here, let's make a new one, width of 15 feet, height of 15, depth of 1. That'll make it look a little bit more realistic. There we go. Okay, so now that we figured out how wide our door needs to be to have 2 sections on each side or 2 doors on each side, I've got that figured out again. Let me move it up here into position. Let me constrain the Y. Even though I'm working in this top-down view, it can't move in the Y-axis anyway, because I'm, you know, it can only move in these 2 axes right here. It's just a habit I get into of always constraining that one direction. So let me set them up here so it's exactly lined up, and this should get it close enough that we can kind of tweak it from here. That's fine there. And then the easiest thing to do is just copy and paste this guy, and we'll move him back over here, and he's just, you can see he's just a little shy. So let me do this. Let me take him, and we'll put him right here on the center line. You know, and that's the thing with when you design this stuff, is it's not always going to be perfect. So I'll put him right on the middle, get him where I want, and then we'll take this guy over here, go back to our original part. We'll center this guy up here a little bit, and we might just cheat a little bit, and we'll go ahead and scale him in the X direction, and that should be good enough. Let's move him in the X direction. There we go. Move him back in the Z direction a little bit, and let's see how that looks. I think he's just a little shy over here. He's pretty close, so I'll fix that just by moving that set of points in the X direction. There we go. Boom. Okay, so close enough. Go back into point mode, get out of this. Let's take a look at it to make sure our hangar doors look okay. And they do. Nothing special, but you know, gives us the desired effect that we're looking for. Alright, so now if we want, we can go ahead and copy these parts, and we can paste them to the opposite side, which will produce our opposite side of hangar doors. So if you want, just take this guy. He's already been drawn to the correct dimensions. Again, if our hangar has been designed symmetrically, these guys should all fit perfectly. So I'm going to go copy and paste. F2 again. He's at minus 22.7. I'll just take off the minus and make that a positive, and that'll put him over here on the side, which it did. Let me scroll back to my middle hangar door there. Copy and paste. F2 again. Take off the minus in front of the 7.5. And that'll put him on the opposite side, and very quickly now we've got our full complement of, you know, of 4 hangar doors there. And if you wanted to, you know, in this case, you'd probably have a piece that, you know, sits on top of these hangar doors. If you wanted to, you could make that back from your original piece here, and that's kind of why I always go back to this original piece, because it's already the width that I need, and it's already, you know, may or may not be the height that I need. But I'm just going to go copy and paste, and then I'm going to tweak this new part here. Let's see, let's let the points move in the Y direction only. I'll bring that up like that, and we need to get the back points sucked up here, so we'll get it in the Z direction like that. Go part center axis to part. Where is it at? There it is. Okay, center the part up, and let's see what we did here. It is close, but it's not perfect. Let me go into this mode here, center this up so you can see it, and then I'm just going to move the whole thing up here on top of these hangar doors. And just get it close. And again, if I don't show this to you, you may not believe me, but there is a gap in there. See the gap? Okay, just fix that gap. Set it right down on top of those guys. There we go. Come out and let's take a look at that, see how that looks in game or in the design window here, see if that looks acceptable. Yeah, it's not too bad, and what we could actually do is we could actually stretch that, and well, I tell you, we could get a little bit creative with the design here. Let's move it forward just a little bit to cover the outermost hangar door, which is there. And then let's do this. Let's take these top 2 points, and let's actually not do the top 2, just that front one. And let's move that front one back a little bit. There we go. And then we can actually move these top 2 guys down a little bit. Let's just make it look a little bit nicer, a little bit neater. We go part, center axis to part, and then that looks a little bit better. And if we want, we could actually, you know, we could actually make this so that the whole thing, just by selecting these 3 points, whoops, the whole thing lines up in the Z plane with the set of hangar doors. So, and the hangar door holders, if you will. If we want to stretch that out so that it goes all the way out to the hangar door holders, I can do that too. I can just select the whole thing, scale in the X only, and we'll run it out here to the ends, and we'll come back here and see how that looks. No, it doesn't look too bad. And then you're never going to be able to scale it perfectly, so what you'll have to do is you'll have to get out of the scale mode, go into the move mode. We're just going to do X plane here. I'm going to go in here with my select tool, again select this far left set of points, and then just zoom all the way in and move it out here, because again the scale mode is just not going to be, whoops, not going to be accurate enough to get that the way you want it. I'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Select tool, select the set of points, right click right over my points, hit center, zoom that all the way down just so I can see how far it needs to go, and I can even see my back here is not quite done perfectly, so being a perfectionist I will fix that. That needs to go in the Z axis, so I can go center over here, zoom that in, and fix that little gap too while we're at it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. That's where we're at right now with our hangar. Let me expand this out here a little bit and you can see that. So we've got a decent looking hangar structure already. Okay. So this would suffice if you just wanted a basic hangar, and what we could do is to finish this off, we could delete some of these bottom facing polygons, but I'm going to get a little bit greedy here, and let me fill the light so we can see it a little bit here. I am going to make it so that we have kind of an interior to the hangar here. And so what we'll do is we'll move our 2 innermost hangar doors out of the way. So let me get out of this. Let me go back to part mode. Let me go scroll to my innermost door. There's one. And let me just move it to the right in the x-axis, and I don't even know how much. We'll just move it a little bit so that it looks, somewhat realistic. And we'll move his buddy while we're at it. Why not? That'll look realistic. So we'll just move those back a little bit. It'll absorb into our little, our hangar door holder over here. But again, to get these guys symmetrical on the opposite side, we just need to, in this case, we need to look, okay, and either go to F2 and copy these coordinates 27.387. So I can do this. I can go in here, highlight it, go Control C, okay, get out of that, go over here to the opposite guy, which is that guy, F2, hit Control V to paste, and just make sure it's negative because it's on the left side. And that'll put that door over here in exactly the same spot. Okay? Or if you want, you can just get to that part. So this time we're talking about the inner hangar door. I'll just delete that guy. I'll come over here to my opposite side and we'll just copy paste this guy, copy paste, and we'll change his coordinates to a negative, and same result. Okay, so that gives us our doors kind of spread open a little bit. Alright, so to make the interior of the hangar, let's go back here to the original part, this original box structure, and let's see here. We're not going to need the front polygon, so I'm going to go to polygon mode. I'm going to scroll around till I get the front facing polygon. Let me get rid of the grid here. The front facing polygon of this box, because we're not going to need that for an interior. Let me delete that, and you can kind of see now we've got an interior, but we don't have any walls on the inside. Okay, so what we want to do is, while we're at it, we might as well delete the other polygons associated with this box. We can delete the top facing one, which is adjacent to and faces the roof part, so we'll delete that. And then the bottom facing one too, we don't need that. So now you can kind of see on the inside here. Alright, so that leaves us with 1, 2, 3 outward facing walls, and that's perfect. Go back into part mode. Okay, we'll copy this original box. We'll paste this original box, and now to make the insides, we're just going to flip. This is the copied part, so we're just going to flip those by making sure we're in polygon mode. Go to the polygon menu and go flip all selected, and then you can see on the inside now we've created our interior of our hangar. And we've got one extra polygon up here which I don't need. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, it's from the roof structure, so we'll get rid of that here in a second. So that's the interior walls of the roof. Go back into part mode, and we'll go to our actual roof part, which is this guy right here. Same thing. I'm going to let's see, do I need to, no, I don't need that bottom facing polygon, the one that points downward. So I'll go to polygon mode, I'll delete that guy. Okay, that kind of gets rid of the roof. Now we just need to make a new roof. Go back into part mode. Okay, copy paste, polygon mode, polygon menu, flip all selected, and there we go. We've made the complete interior of our hangar. So essentially now we've gone ahead and created a let me save this before I'll save it here in a second, but we've created an entire hangar essentially from just one little starting block, and we've just kind of built off of that. Okay, and so if you don't want to do one with an interior, you just leave the doors closed, and that's that many fewer polygons that you have to worry about. Now to finish this off, I should go ahead and I should delete all these bottom facing polygons of these doors. Okay, because we're not going to see those in game, and then you could also delete the top facing polygons from the hangar doors as well, because you're not going to see those. So let me come back out of here, and just as a good scenery designer, let me go to my doors, and then this guy's got these two outward facing door holders, if you will. They have polygons that can be deleted as well. So F7 to get into polygon mode, just scroll around till I get that bottom facing polygon, delete that guy. Okay, and then you can see over here, it's right here, it's gone. Part mode, and get the other one, F7 for polygon mode, bottom facing polygon, delete. Okay, so that's gone. Part mode, and then let me get into my hangar doors. Whoops, there's one. Polygon mode, let's do the top and the bottom. So there's the bottom, delete that guy, there's the top, delete that guy. Back in part mode, go to my next part, which is this hangar door, polygon mode. There's the bottom, delete. There's the top, delete. Part mode, go to the next door, there he is. Polygon mode, bottom facing polygon, delete. Top facing polygon, delete. And last but not least, whoops, there he is. Our last hangar door, polygon mode, bottom, delete, top, delete. Okay, and then the difference is now, you come over here, and if you can see it, probably hard to see in the video here, but we don't really have any polygons down here on the bottom that we can't see anymore. So we've just essentially saved a little bit of draw calls or whatever of rendering for your computer to do that. So here we are. This is our completed hangar. It's our first hangar, and just real basic. And again, you can play with it. You can move these doors around all you want. If you want to move the doors all the way out, you can do that. Right, here's your part. Just make sure you're in part mode. And we'll zoom this in a little bit here so we can see it maybe. Whoops. And I'll just, whoops, what are we doing here? Oh, we're still in polygon mode. Part mode, there we go. And I'll just, move that guy all the way out. Again, I can go F2, copy his coordinates, Control C, and then find his buddy over here, his symmetrical one, which is that guy, F2, paste these with a positive. Make sure you take out the negative symbol, or otherwise it'll paste it right over top of the other one. Enter, and then we've just opened up our hanger. Okay, so that's it for the hanger. Not too much to it. I think you'll see when we do the texturing on this exact hanger in the next lesson, I think you'll see that you're going to realize there's a whole lot more work to this modeling business than you thought. Again, we're primarily worried about trying to teach you guys actually how to model the objects. The texturing is just something that's going to come in its own time, and there's a whole other art to just creating the textures themselves, and that's not something we're necessarily going to get into too much. We might do some tutorials on that later, but we will provide you with the texture sheets. You'll be able to download those as part of the lessons in the actual Military AI Works forums in the Learning Center, and then you can apply those and do those along with me in the lessons as we go. So any questions, as always, come see us. Again, this is just a real basic kind of structure, and we're going to build on this as we go, and we're going to get into some neat objects and do some transparent stuff and all kinds of fun stuff. So in the next lesson, we'll come back and we'll put some textures on this. We'll make it look real nice, and we'll talk about some things associated with that, and then we'll go from there. We'll see you next time.